Welcome everyone to another episode of Gotta Go Fast. Today, we'll be looking at Mega Man Zero, released in 2002 on the Game Boy Advance and available via the Mega Man Zero and ZX Legacy Collection on February 25th. Mega Man Zero is very much the phrase, something old and something new. It combines the traditional platforming and boss elements you've come to expect from both the original and X series of Mega Man games, but finds new and innovative ways to crank them all up to 11. Faster movement, an interconnected world to explore, new power-up systems, and a harder difficulty brought a true challenge to Mega Man fans, and the fans loved it. Not only did they come out with 4 Mega Man Zero games, but it got 2 spin-offs in the form of Mega Man ZX and Mega Man ZX Advent. On top of that, all 6 of these games are getting re-released via the Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection. These last few years have been pretty good for Mega Man fans. We got Mega Man 11 and 3 collections of past Mega Man games. How about it, Capcom? Maybe a Mega Man Legends Legacy Collection? Or a Battle Network Legacy Collection? Heck, I'd even take a Mega Man Game Boy Legacy Collection. Those games are fun enough. As the name says, you play as Zero, who has been resurrected by a human scientist named CL 100 years after the original Mega Man X series. CL leads a resistance movement of Reploids who are falsely accused of being Mavericks and are being hunted down. This organization is led by X, the same ally Zero fought alongside years ago. Or is it really X? We'll just have to find out now, won't we? Instead of traditional stages, the game is broken up into a mission structure. Each mission ends with a boss of some sort, but not all are traditional Mega Man bosses. Beating certain missions unlock new missions for you to do, so there is some level of flexibility you have within the order that you tackle them in, but not 100% as much as past Mega Man games. Lives return in this one and allow you to retry a mission from the last checkpoint, but lives aren't replenished when you lose them all. You need to gradually pick them up in stages as you progress, or you risk failing the mission completely if you run out of lives. Not all missions are required to be completed, however, but you do lose out on anything you could have had in the stage if you didn't complete it. Instead of traditional boss power-up and health tanks, Mega Man Zero spreads the options out a bit more. You have the ability to acquire 4 different weapons for Zero that you can equip to a primary and secondary slot. You also get 3 elemental chips that let you change your charged weapon attack to deal extra damage to foes that are weak to that element. You also have the new Cyber Elves, which are one-time power-ups that provide a wide range of abilities. Anything from restoring health, extra damage, saving you from pits, or just straight up killing weak enemies. All of this culminates into the largest difference in Mega Man Zero, the scoring system. On its own, it might not seem like much. Do good on a stage and get a good score. However, the ranking you get carries throughout to the other stages and it influences them. Have an A rank so far? Then expect the bosses to actually be tougher and use moves they normally don't. Want to get a special Cyber Elf? Then get an S rank on this mission in order to get it. Even using a Cyber Elf will take points away from your score, which puts an interesting dynamic on risk versus reward. All in all, this adds up to a worthy successor of the Mega Man series, and breathes tons of new life into the genre, and pushes the limit to the challenge of what is expected of a Mega Man game. Honestly, what's there to say about speedrunning a Mega Man game? Go fast, kill fast, finish fast. Although there's a few changes to the formula, most of what we would do on a standard Mega Man game applies here. There are a few special techniques that we will be using to help us push through faster though. A large amount of these I owe to learning them from the tutorial series created by Flameburger, one of the top speedrunners for the game. If you're interested in checking them out, give them a look up on YouTube. The first thing is using Zero's different array of weapons. Some are more straightforward, like the Triple Rod. The length of its weapon allows you to easily reach faraway enemies and rapidly deal damage to them. Others are more indirectly, such as the Shield Boomerang. We don't actually use the weapon for its damage, but instead use it to allow us to rapidly fire out slashes with our saber to make quick work of bosses. Next are the Cyber Elves themselves. I'll be taking advantage of a few to make the run both faster and easier. One batch of Cyber Elves is purely health restoring, to help us out in the last few fights of the game since we don't get a chance to restore our health. The other is for an interesting skip we can do in one stage, which allows us to save about a minute from having to traverse through the whole stage by using a Pitfall Cyber Elf to bring us to a ledge we couldn't normally reach. Finally, there is some AI and RNG manipulation that can be done in the game to our benefit. Random number generation, or RNG for short, is a common tool that game developers use to control how things work in a game, particularly when it comes to enemy AI. There's a lot of detailed strategies for the game that involve how you move, what you attack, and what you attack with, that all add up to how the RNG is affected for the game. By following specific strategies laid out, you can force bosses into the most ideal patterns to quickly dispatch them. Unfortunately, due to the nature of the show, I didn't have the time to learn every pattern that I wanted to, but I'll be using at least one or two throughout the run to help speed things along. Time-wise, we're looking at 4 minutes for the intro stage and the first boss stage, 2 to 5 minutes per main mission to take out each boss, and with a total of 10 missions, that's about 32 minutes total, 9 minutes to make our way through the Neo Arcadia base, and 10 minutes to fight everyone all over again in typical Mega Man fashion, and finish off X's Reign of Terror. This comes to a total of 55 minutes. Because there are so many individual sections to this game, each small part really adds up as time goes on, so we need to stay ahead of time as much as possible. Alright, let's cut down some Mavericks. It's time to go fast. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Gotta Go Fast. I'm your host, Savior X Tannerin. Today we're playing through Mega Man Zero, or Rockman Zero as you can see, because we're doing the Japanese version specifically for speedrun stuff. This was released back on the Game Boy Advance in the early 2000s, if I remember correctly. I forget how old I was at the time when it came out. But we're playing this game particularly because of the upcoming Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection that's coming out, which has the first 4 Mega Man Zero games and Mega Man ZX and Mega Man ZX Advent all in one nice little beautiful HD package to play together. And I'm really forward to play those games, so I figured, hey, let's do a little preemptive fun and speedrun a game that's in the game package as a whole. So we're going to play through Mega Man Zero, all the way through start to finish. We're going to be doing what's known as the All Missions Run. The All Missions Run is basically states we have to do all the missions, start to finish, all of them through, as fast as we can, but we're not allowed to skip or bail out of them early. We can die, but we want to not die, ideally, if we can avoid it. And I've gotten runs where I haven't died, which is pretty good. But we're going to be doing 55 minutes, start to finish, do the whole thing through. And yeah, so time's going to start basically when I select New Game up here at the top. And then it's going to end when I defeat Seraph Angel Copy X at the very, very end. And it's all auto-splitting, so I don't have to worry about hitting the button, which is great. It just saves a little bit of hassle. I never forget about splitting times. It's just, it's such a saving grace. I love auto-splittings. It's the best. With that said, let's get into it, shall we? So, time to start when I select New Game here in 3, 2, 1, go. So, first thing we're going to do is just get our configuration settings set up, because we have to go in and tweak our settings just a little bit to get the most ideal configuration we want to make it easier to deal with these enemies. So the first stage, all we're basically doing is we're just going to run past a bunch of these guys, take some damage along the way, which is fine, and we're going to get to the very end boss with as much damage as we reasonably can, because that's going to allow us to basically advance the fight a lot faster. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second. So, let me give some context at least. So the boss fight going into this, a lot of people assume, hey, you get the Z-Saber in the middle of this fight. And a lot of people assume you have to do a certain amount of damage to the boss to get the Z-Saber. And that's not entirely true. It's actually based off of how much damage has been done to him, as well as how much damage you have taken. And that wasn't most ideal. I wanted to do the down laser, not the up laser, because the up laser takes a little more time, but whatever. So because I'm nearly in death, basically I'm on death's door, it gives me the Z-Saber. And when I get the Z-Saber, I can kill him in one hit. It doesn't matter how much health he has. So I don't need to do any damage to him ahead of time. I just got to get the Z-Saber as quickly as I can so I can kill him. So, works out pretty well, all things considered. So anyways, with that said, now we got the first stage through. We got to skip through a bunch of stupid dialogue. And then we're going to get ourselves into the basically into the main area where we can start actually playing the game in a more regular sense. So, first mission is pretty much required. We have to do this first mission in the order it gives us. It's an intro mission, if you will. It's kind of more than the intro stage of the regular intro stage. It's a second intro stage, I guess you could say. I don't know. However you want to describe it. Anyway, so we're going to get ourselves set up in the right way. We're going to get ourselves so that our sword is the primary weapon. And then the saber is our... let me rephrase. Yeah, the saber is our primary weapon. And the... dang it, I wanted to hit that guy, but I couldn't hit him. Saber is our primary weapon, and the Buster is our secondary weapon, because we're going to use that a little bit later for our benefit. Took a little more damage there than I wanted, but it's fine. So the reason why I went back to kill those little, like, claw guys is they have a cyber elf that I want to be able to use. And that cyber elf allows me to skip a nice little technique area coming up soon. No, actually not coming up for a while, technically. But it's going to allow us to get through a stage much, much faster and save a good, like, I think 45 seconds, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so it's a big helpful technique. The reason why I also stopped to hit that little floating guy in the air, I guess you could say, or whatever he was with the arrows on him, is by hitting him, I can force the rain to go in a specific direction, and if I force it to go right, I can move faster, as you saw. Sometimes so fast that the camera can't even keep up with me. If you watch some of the pro speedrunners do this, like, they can get through it without even... They can get through it where you're not even on camera and they know what they're doing. Which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah. So, when we're going to be fighting Aztec Falcon here, we basically want to get into a position where we're doing a crap ton of slashes on him as quickly as we possibly can, without him doing too much damage to us, at least, ideally. That's the ideal scenario. We'll see how it actually plays out. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. I've had a little bit faster times than that, but we'll take that. We'll take that. And since he's kind of the first fight, the first boss, like real boss fight, we don't have access to a lot of the weapons and techniques we have. It's a little more of a skill-based fight, which makes it a little more interesting to me, at least, of a boss fight. One you can, like, have a lot more area to improve on, since you have to, like, know his techniques and what he's going to do at specific times. So we're going to hop over here really quick and grab ourselves a Cyber Elf. And we're going to use that for much later. That was the Cyber Elf that we picked up when we were fighting those little rolly balls along the way. So we use that to our advantage in a much later battle. Like, I think probably 2/3 into the game or so is when we use it. So now that we have access to all the main missions, we're going to basically just get into the run of it for picking the missions that we want to. The first 2 missions we pick are honestly the most... specific order ones we want, because we want to fight these bosses so that we get access to their special weapons that they have. They just make life a little bit more ideal for the boss fights we want to go into fighting here. So we're going to kill them in the specific order, which allows us to make basically just better forward progress on enemies overall. So I'm just going to kind of take some of this damage. I'm going to rush through. I don't need a crazy amount of health going into this fight, but I want to have some amount at least. So I'm at a good health-wise. I'm happy with that. And most of these stages, we're going to avoid most of the enemies if we can. There's only like 1 or 2 cases where we need to kill a specific number of enemies to get us certain Cyber Elves. So Ghana Sheriff. This guy is... Honestly, I think he's just a more annoying boss. I don't think he's super difficult because you can take your time with him, but his RNG that he does is not ideal. I don't like him. I just don't like him as a boss, man. He's frustrating. So, he does a lot of techniques where basically you can't hit him when he's doing stuff. And, like here, I can't hit him with the sword effectively, so I have to shoot him over. There, I can't hit him at all when he's actually doing the rolling thing. So I have to basically wait for him to get into a good position, or do certain techniques that allow me to get in there and just slap him harder. So it just depends a little bit on how stuff works. Like here, I have 1 pellet left, I'm just, he's just frustrating. I could have probably gone in and just taken a hit and slashed him with the sword and done a little more damage, but whatever. It wasn't too bad of a fight. Could have been faster. Okay, so now we're going to get out of dodge, because we have to run out, because stuff's about to collapse on us as we get through here. We're going to do a little interesting technique that allows us to be able to kill things a little faster, mainly inanimate object stuff. And this works by basically doing this little flipping back and forth technique. And we're going to use it for a couple things later on as well, too. The trick is basically by throwing your saber out there and holding it out, you can flip back and forth and hit the thing multiple times every single time you flip back into position with it, which allows you to get through stuff a lot faster than if you were just doing like your regular like 3-hit sword saber slash. So you kill stuff faster, you get through things faster. It's just overall like a really good technique to help you on it. Okay, so we killed that first boss, which is going to allow us access to a very nice thing that's going to make our life easier for a few bosses. So killing that boss gets us access to the triple rod. And the triple rod is nice because it gives us good range, and it allows us access to certain enemies to hit them sooner than we normally would with the Z Saber, and I'll also be able to get better invincibility frames on them. And I'll explain how that works in probably not this fight, but the following fight. At the fight after this, I'll explain a little more. So, desert area, we're just rushing through as quickly as we can, killing some stuff along the way to level up the saber a little bit. But other than that, that's... Oh my god, I hate these things so much, man. Other than that, there's not too much to this battle. We just want to make our way through and avoid unnecessary damage, at least, as much as possible. But yeah. Pretty, you know, relatively... I don't want to say boring, but relatively straightforward as far as, like, we're not doing anything crazy, we're just going through stuff very fast. The Anubis fight has a little more of an interesting technique set up to it, at least. So this is the first time we use the triple rod to our advantage to be able to make good damage on him. So in the beginning here, we're not doing anything fancy, at least. We're just going to be hitting him a couple of times to get him to go down and summon up these sand pillars, stone pillars, whatever you want to call them. But we are going to start our actual technique position piece here now. So the first piece of it is, one, staying on the left side here. By staying on the left side when he does this thing, it's going to force him to spawn on the right side. By forcing him to spawn on the right side, we can get him where the first technique he always does is he throws his saber, his little wand, and he winds up on the left side here. And by staying on the left side when we do that, basically what happens is, because the way the sand is set up, as you can see, we can stab upward a lot easier when we're doing stuff. So we don't need to jump, and by not jumping, we can stab him and kill him a lot faster. We can't do that on the right side because the slope is lower, but on the left side it's higher, so we can just poke up and stab and do a bunch of damage. And it just cycles through his boss fight a lot faster. It just makes it a lot more quicker to deal with, which is kind of nice. So, that's the first time we use, like, the triple rod to our big, big advantage. We're going to use it for a couple other fights, but overall it is not the be-all, end-all technique. You'll see what the be-all, end-all technique is in this game very, very soon. After this we get it, basically, and I'll show you how it works and how absolutely crazy and destructive a technique it is to be able to kill stuff. So, we have an escort mission now, which everybody loves a good escort mission. Nobody hates escort missions. Ever. But the goal is we basically just need to bring this guy all the way back to the starting base where we were. It's slow, it's tedious, there's no way to speed this up other than just to making sure he doesn't go off screen too much. Because if he goes off screen, he will stop and I'll have to go back to pick him up, which is not great, to say the least. So I need to keep him at, like, just the right amount of distance so he doesn't disappear off screen and I have to go back and get him, as I said. So right now, focus-wise, we're basically going to be doing some damage with the triple rod as much as we can, and then switch to the saber. Yeah, there. Because the saber kills these things a lot faster. But, you know, is what it is. Ooh, come on, you. Come on. But we also want to avoid him taking too many damage hits from other stuff, because if he does, he will die. If he dies, it's bad times. So we need to kind of basically just keep moving forward while damaging this stuff and avoiding him taking any excess damage if he doesn't need to take it, at least. Okay, we're almost there at the very end. Yay. Yay, escort mission's almost done. Yay. A couple more kills. And we're good. I think there's one more that's going to pop up. Yeah, right there. Okay, and now we're done. Yay! Now we just read them in and bring them home. Because unfortunately, I've not found a crazy amount of way to eke out any more time for this mission. It just takes a long time, so you gotta escort his ass all the way back. And it's frustrating, but what can you do about it? Okay, so now that we've killed Anubis, we're going to get the second special weapon, and this is the godsend weapon as far as, like, actual, like, damage output is concerned in this game. So the shield boomerang. The shield boomerang basically allows us to block shots and throw this, like, you know, boomerang technique out there. However, that's not the real reason why we care about it. We care about it because it has one of the best things in the frickin' world that makes doing damage in this game so crazy. So before I can actually get to that, let me talk about a topic that's gonna come up a fair amount in this as far as how things work at least. So let's talk about invulnerability frames. So for those that don't know what invulnerability frames are, basically, if you've ever played a platforming game, if you've noticed how enemies will like flash white sometimes, and then you can't hit them, those are invulnerability frames. And basically, invulnerability frames make it have a little bit of a fairness to them, so you can't just bum rush enemies completely and take them out by just doing more damage to them before they can do to you. And the same goes for you usually too. A lot of games for platformers will give you invulnerability frames as well. So what we ideally want is a scenario where we can do damage to enemies and minimize the amount of invulnerability frames that they have, because the longer they have invulnerability frames for, the less time we can actually be hitting them and doing damage for them. So we want to try to minimize that. The way it works in Mega Man Zero is that certain techniques or certain attacks have more invulnerability frames than others. So we want to, based off that question and statement we had before, we want to do attacks that have the least amount of invulnerability frames to them as possible. Certain weapons, particularly, have different attacks and different ways they do them. So the Z-Saber, for example, when you do a standing still slash, if you just stand still and you smack an enemy without doing anything, I believe it does either 40 or 50 invulnerability frames. If you do a jumping slash, however, you do, I believe, 90 invulnerability frames. If you do a dashing slash, you do 90 invulnerability frames. The first two slashes of Zero's regular standing saber attack do, how many is that? I believe they each do 40 or 50. And the last one, the big third one, does 90. So based off of all that we just learned, we want to ideally try to do the standing slash, the first two primarily, as much as possible, because they will allow us to hit the enemy faster than they can actually do anything about. Oh my god, if I can hit the right buttons, there we go. I'm just getting my buttons mixed up, man. So, we're going to basically do that on this boss. We're going to hit them with the first sword slash as much as we possibly can. How we're going to do that effectively is by using the shield boomerang. So there's a technique where the shield boomerang, when you're holding it out, allows you to slash faster than if you don't have it holding out. Meaning we can do our little slaps with the sword really fast, as you saw, and completely just wreck a boss start to finish. And bring them down so fast. It's great. So, that technique where we hold the shield boomerang out and basically rapidly slap an enemy back and forth is how we're going to essentially get through most of our boss battles. That's going to be the big thing for most of them, not all of them. Some of them we can't reach as easily with that, so to get by there, we're going to use probably the triple rod in some of those boss fights. And I'll show you, you'll see the boss fights where we do those more prominently. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on with there, at least. So, this mission is actually kind of basic. We're just going to be rushing through the mission as fast as we can. We got to be a little conscious of our health as we go and do it, which I'm not being really great about right now, but, you know, whatever. Because we want to go into the boss fight with a good amount of health to be able to make good progress on him and not worry about, like, risking ourselves on anything. So I'm going to see if I can get a little health here going in, which I did, so perfect. And I have enough that I feel comfortable going with this boss fight. Ideally, full would be good, but I like to have at least 2/3 of health going in there. Because Fenfer is a little trickier. I still don't have 100% confidence in this fight. I do a pretty good job when I focus, so I'm probably going to focus face on this fight just a little bit. And I'll explain what the technique is afterwards. But essentially, we're going to get ourselves into this, we're going to get him into this stun lock where he basically just hops back and forth and tries to grab me a bunch of times. And by doing that, we're going to basically just continue to wail on him damage-wise, as you saw. So he can't really do much on us, except just sit there and take it, and we finish him off. So that was actually not too bad. I've done it a little faster than that, but that was actually a pretty decent fight. If you watch like the world speedrunners, they do an even smarter technique, but they're doing a crazy amount of RNG manipulation to cause that to happen. I'm not at the confidence level where I can manipulate the game's RNG to do that. To kind of briefly mention what RNG is basically random number generation. So the game's AI makes decisions based off random numbers, and you can, in this game, manipulate the RNG, which manipulates the decisions that the AI does. We do this once in the game, like one very specifically. But if you watch the actual techniques, they'll do it all the time. It's really crazy. So Giant Mech, we're going to use our little technique, our rocking technique, to do a crazy amount of damage back and forth on this guy. Essentially, the goal is to try to take him out as quickly as we possibly can, ideally. Now, it's going to depend a little bit on... Okay, I think this is pretty good. This should be actually really, really good. So, we did that rocking technique to hit all three of his spots very quickly and do a bunch of damage. However, where you kill him matters a little bit on this, because you can see the Cyber Elf there's those 2 spike pits, and the Cyber Elf floats there. And you have to pick up the Cyber Elf to end the fight. So, if you are in a bad position, and they're over the spikes, and you grab the Cyber Elf, you will fall around the spikes, and you die, and then you forfeit the mission. And you die, and you lose it. And that sounds about as great as you think it sounds. You just instantly die, mission's failed, and again. And you have to redo the mission as a whole. And it's not a long mission, but it's just frustrating enough to have to pull off again and again, considering it's not that difficult. It's fairly short. It's barely like over a minute. But if you have to do it again, you're just going to feel super disappointed in yourself that you have to do it again, which is not the ideal situation you want to be in, unfortunately. So, you have to kill him either very quickly before he gets to the spikes, or you have to time your kill such that the Cyber Elf won't drop over the spikes. Okay, so this battle, Pantheon, is kind of interesting the way the technique works. This is going to be another one of the triple rod boss battles, where the triple rod is going to be our saving grace to be able to kill him very effectively. And we are gonna, cool, we have full health. That's what we want, ideally. So now we're going to basically just focus on not taking any excess damage if we can avoid it, which we're good on. Okay, because we want full health going into this fight as much as we possibly can, and you'll see why in a little bit. We're essentially be doing like a lot of damage rush techniques on this one. We're gonna use the triple rod to stab the little blue Mega Man robot guy up there as quickly as we possibly can. But we need to take damage as we do it from the fire, so we need to be a little conscious about how much damage we take to make sure we're not taking too much damage overall. Which we're doing a pretty good position now by giving him a fair amount of damage. And done. Okay. I think that's been my best run on this mission so far, actually. That was a really freaking good Pantheon from me, man. Like, crazy good. Yeah, that's probably the fastest Pantheon I've done so far, like, ever. So I'm happy about that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. If you watch the professional runners do that stuff, they can do it in one cycle, where, like, as soon as he stops doing the fire, they basically whack him just as the fire is done and just as they're about to be pushed up into the spikes. It's a crazy impressive watch to see that crap happen. Like, it's good. I'm not at that level yet to be able to do that efficiently. But definitely go give it a watch. It's super cool to watch them do it. Okay. So, now we're coming back through this area where we dropped all these spikes before. We need to be careful of these little exploding balls, not to take any extra damage here if we can avoid it at least. And now we're going to be underwater for a little bit, which sounds about as good as you think it sounds. Ooh. I didn't want that to happen. Ooh. Ooh. I almost got squashed there. That would have been very, very bad to get squashed. Okay, I made it through. Ooh. I always feel super great about doing that tight run there, but, you know, if I pull it off, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic feeling. It really is. But you just got to be careful not to risk it too much. So you just don't know when it's going to blow up in your face, man. Nope, couldn't make it. Okay, so now we're going to hop up here. I'm going to try to grab a little extra health when we get into this area. So before we were in here, we got some prisoners out. Instead of getting prisoners, there's some secret computers that are in this area that we're going to basically destroy. Oh, beautiful. That's what I want. I'm going to poke you so I don't take any extra damage if I don't need to. So we're just going to hop in here, destroy these computers that are in here, and then we're going to make our way back out to where the ship is. But yeah, there's not too much here to it. We just, you know, destroy them as quickly as we possibly can, and then make our way out. And we're going to hop over these guys and just ignore them since we're at full health, and make our way back downstairs. Okay, so now we're going to be fighting the second of the Guardians. I believe they're called like the Copy Guardians or the Shrine Guardians, whatever they're called. But they're basically like the more kind of like traditional boss fight guys. And we're going to use our whack technique on her as quickly as we can to just kind of get some extra damage in. But she doesn't like to play super nice with the way we want to do damage in this, ideally, so we kind of have to just hope she does things for us. And she's cooperating pretty well. Nice. Okay, that was actually a pretty good kill. I'll take that. Because she floats around, so she doesn't stay on the ground, so you have to kind of wait for her to float to the right level where you can hit her with those rapid slashes. And it doesn't always work the way you want it to sometimes. Sometimes just bad luck. You never know. Okay. So, this is the third one of the Guardians, Harpuya, and this is actually, like, a very straightforward, mission. If you just run, like, you can run through it you can just run through this one, literally, if you know the pattern of what it is. There's very little to have to worry about as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing. So here, we're going to hop over here. We're going to grab we're actually at full health, so we don't have to worry about it. Beautiful. I usually run down to go grab some health, but we're at full health, so we're good. We're cooking. So yeah, we're ready for the boss fight. It's only been 45 seconds, and we're at the boss fight, so it's a very, very short mission overall. So, with Harpuya, we're going to do the same idea, the big slash, the multiple slashes, but we need to get him down into the ground, which is not always ideal, depending on where he's positioned. But we're basically going to knock him down, hop on his other side, do rapid slashes, and rinse and repeat. And done. Ta-da! That's how you beat Harpuya. Pretty straightforward, and we do the whole mission in like 100... Yeah, that's like by far, I think, the fastest mission in the entire game. It's kind of crazy how fast that is. Okay. So, we're now on the Octadragon fight, and Octadragon is kind of interesting because from a stage perspective, we're going to do a little interesting technique. So remember how I mentioned way back in the very, very beginning, there was that cyber elf that we went out of our way to grab, and we're going to come use it later? Well, this is the stage, and I feel like I feel very stupid. I went and got health, and then I took the exact amount of damage I was at, so I didn't even need to grab that health at all. So this is the stage where we're going to use that cyber elf that we went out of our way to get. And I'll show you how we're going to actually use it effectively. So there's a point where a pit is going to come up, and we normally would need to cycle through the entire stage to get to the very end. Instead, we're going to do a neat little technique that allows us to basically skip like over half the fight, or half of the stage, by falling in a pit with the cyber elf, which allows us to get up to here, which then allows us to essentially skip the entire stage. And we're at the boss fight already. It's crazy. like how cool that technique is. That's when I was really, so that's when I learned, I watched people do it, and I was super impressed that people came up with that technique. It's really cool. It's the only time you do something like that in this entire game, but it's a really awesome technique just to see overall. So Octadragon is another one where we're going to be using the spear poke to be able to do a bunch of damage to him. We need to kind of do some amount of damage, but we need to take some amount of damage as we're doing the fight, but also avoid a certain amount of damage to a point. But we kind of just bum rush him and do enough damage to kill him, and it works out pretty well like that. And that's the Octadragon stage. So we have one more mission after this, and then we actually go into like the final end game of the game, if you will. So this mission is going to be the last of the Guardians that we fight. And this is probably the only one we do RNG manipulation on because I know the technique and because it's really simple. So we're going to quickly switch to our Buster. We're going to fire one shot to the left, and then we're going to go into the fight. Now what happens is that one shot manipulates the overall RNG of the game and forces him to do a very specific set of techniques, which allow us to basically do a crap ton of ideal damage on him, which is really effective for being able to like kill him relatively quickly. Almost got him. Oh, so close. Like one flick of health. That's fine. It was still pretty good. So the reason why that RNG is great is he does his little boomerang slash there on both sides, and when he does it, it allows us to be able to basically get a crap ton of damage on him really, really early on. And makes the rest of the fight pretty trivial overall. Okay, so the rest of this mission now is basically, it's this glorified bomb disposal mission, is about the best way I can describe it. Now, how do we dispose of the bombs, you might ask? It's actually kind of funny. You dispose of the bombs by slashing them with your sword to knock them down, and then you grab them. Because, you know, Zero, master bomb disposal expert there. Slash a bomb with your sword, and everything will be fine. But, you know, it's fine. Zero's smart. He knows what he's doing. So this is where we're actually now going to be going through the rest of the stage. You'll have a chance to see all the stuff we would have skipped normally. By doing that, like, technique. Where we grab the Cyber Elf and allowed us to kind of skip stuff. So this is the normal amount of area you would be going through as you're doing this, which can be a little scary because you have a lot of, you know, you have a lot of big pits below you, endless stuff where you could die on. It's risky. It's risky to say the least. But we have to do it because this is where the bombs are, at least. All right. So we got most of them now. There's 2 left we need to grab. The second last one is here, and the last one is basically all the way right before the boss gate. And we're just going to damage rush through this stuff because we're pretty much almost at the end. So we don't matter how much health we have, because as soon as we grab it, the stage ends. Easy peasy. That was pretty good. That was a good time there. I'll take that. Okay, so now we're at the end game. We have 4 more missions left? Yeah, 4 more missions left. This one, which is like a little bit of a base defense mission, if you will. It's pretty basic, though. And then we have 3 missions at the Shrine area, which is like basically Copy X's, Neo Arcadia, that's what it's called. Neo Arcadia, the city where Copy X is held up and everything. So we're going to have 3 missions in there for like the final boss fight before everything finishes up. And then, yeah, that's pretty much the game. So, just for some perspective, too, while I'm doing this mission here real quick. So just to give you some idea. So, on average, I think the fastest time I've gotten while playing this has been, I think it's been, what was it? 48 minutes, I think was the fastest time I've gotten playing this game. The world record is 34. It's for 40, I think 48:29 was my best record. The world record for this is, oh, this is not a good technique. I don't like this one. But I'm going to get, oh. No! Dang it. You did not do the good technique I wanted to do. I'll burn a continue. It's fine. It's fine. We've been having a good run. I'll just eat it. And he'll hopefully do a very good technique for me this time. So where I was going with this is the world record is 34 minutes. I'm like 48 and a half. So we ideally are doing not too bad timeline-wise. Okay, there we go. So this is what I ideally want to get him into. If it doesn't work out perfectly, sometimes you screw it up like that, and then I go over time. So I'm going to be over, yeah, 20 seconds, 15 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds. Alright, so 10 seconds over. That's not horrible, I guess. Not ideal, though. I'd love to save more time on there if I could. But anyways, where I was getting at, so I'm at like 48:29, I think is my best record. And then the world record is like 34:29, or 34 something and change. So the person who's doing the world record game would be finishing up in about 2 minutes from now. We still have another 10 plus minutes to go on this run. So, like, there's so much, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because it's like, I'm going, I feel like, very fast in this. Like, there's time I can eke out, certainly. But you sit down, you think about it, you're like, my god, there's a lot of time that this person is gaining on me. Like, where is it coming from sometimes? You sit there and you wonder, like, where the hell are they getting all this time from? And it's impressive. I'm not dismissing it, but it's just, ooh, this is why, like, I have a lot of respect for the people that do, like, world record times specifically, because they're just impressive, man. They're just impressive with their times. But they also practice the games, like, non-stop, so that's why their times are so good. Whereas I do not. I go for quantity, not quality. Okay, that was good. Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to make that or not, but it worked out. Okay, so this stage is interesting. We have actually 3 bosses we fight. We have this mini-boss and 2 other full bosses afterwards. So for this guy, we're going to do a couple of techniques to basically allow us to do some damage boosting on him. I didn't get that the way I wanted to. Alright, we got 1 down at least. And 2 down. And I'm not going to grab that Cyber Elf because I don't need it. And I don't want to die to spikes. Oh, is that health? There is some health. Okay. And I end up taking back the exact same health I took back from him. Lovely. Now, I would like a little more health going to this fight just to be extra good. Okay, sweet. Alright, we're good. Now, this guy, I feel like he is actually the toughest one of this stage, in my opinion. Like, the final boss is a lot easier than this guy, because just consistency-wise. So, ideally what I want him to do is this, where he does this little sword slash roll, and then I can do that repeated damage and finish him off. However, unless you RNG manipulate him to do that instantly, you're going to run into issues because he does a couple of other techniques. You just have to hope he does that. And I got pretty lucky with that, at least that he did. So that's good. So now we're nearing the latest half of this fight, basically, I guess you could say, or the last third of this stage as a whole. So we're going to get a little extra health going into this just to be safe, and we're good. Okay, so we have enough health. So now we're going to do some, like, Yoko blocks. Yoko blocks. Those that play Mega Man games know this stuff all the time. Disappearing blocks, man, they love them. They love putting disappearing blocks in every Mega Man game. It's just the bee's knees for these guys. Okay, so this is the final fight of this 3-boss rush gauntlet here. He's be a little bit of a stickler depending on what he does. What we ideally want is not what he's doing right now. We want him to do this, where he rushes at us, and then we can finish him off a lot faster. It's hard for him to always do that. I haven't found a perfect technique that makes him do that, but it just depends sometimes. Grab Cyber Elf. I don't know. Some missions I don't know whether you're required to grab a Cyber Elf or not. It doesn't really explain it well to you sometimes. Or at least it's not obvious. Okay, so we finished off this mission just under 4, so that's fine. I've gotten, like, I think 340 on that, something like that. So that one's a pretty tight timeline because it depends a lot on just how it works out for the randomization of, like, the middle stage fight. I think the most importantly of them all. Okay, so this is a big old vertical climb stage, and it is probably one of the ones I'm most frustrated by, I think, because it's got a crap ton of spikes. Crap ton of spikes, and I do not like spikes in this game. They are my bane's existence, man. They are there to mess me up hard. But it's fine. It's fine. We'll get through it. Alright. So this is where I'm probably going to do a little focus face. I'm going to try to talk what I'm doing here a little bit as I go through if I can. But we're basically goal-wise just making our way through all the way to the top. We have specific platforms and things we have to go on. We're going to go on as time goes on. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. There's just platforms we need to jump on as we go up. And yeah, that's about it, really. Okay, cool. We're through, like, one of the bigger areas that causes me frustration, at least. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, ooh. Recover that one there. Yeah, see, stupid stuff like that can happen where, oh, hey, you fell and then you know, fall all the way to the bottom because you got hit by something and you didn't grapple right. So I'm going to take that damage boost just to make it a little easier to get to the top. I'm hoping one of these guys will drop some health for me. So I wouldn't mind a little extra health going into this fight. Okay. I have Cyber Elves on me I can use if I need to be safe on it, but it's fine. Hopefully I'll have a good fight with this guy. So, there's no special crazy techniques, we just gotta damage him as much as we possibly can. As quickly as we possibly can. Alright, so I am gonna be safe and use a Cyber Elf real quick. I usually save these for the final boss fight, but I feel more confident in the final boss fight than I do this fight, honestly. Okay. So our goal-wise, we just need to do a crap ton of damage to him as quickly as we possibly can. So I'm going to focus face a little bit. And, ooh, okay. Ooh, got a little close there. A little close there, but it's fine, it's fine. I think I should still be under time for this. Yeah, I'll still be under time by a little bit. I've definitely done that fight a little faster. Like I think I got like 2:30 once on there, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a time, honestly. And we still have 2 Cyber Elves going into the final boss fight, which is important. I want at least 1 Cyber Elf of health, just because it's a 2-parter fight that's back-to-back. That doesn't give you any health reserve pickups. So now we're in the final stretch of the thing. Here, we're basically just going to be rushing through. It's a big boss gauntlet. We're just going to kill the enemies as quickly as we can. But now we're going to do some stuff that we didn't really do much at all. We're going to do charge attacks on some of these guys to make life a little bit easier on them. A little bit easier on killing them. So you're going to see me do... this one particularly, he goes down a lot faster if you do a charge attack on him. As you can see, he goes down to like 2 hits. So it allows things just a little bit easier to take out bosses, which is kind of nice. So we're not... It's not what I want to do at all. That's fine, it's fine. Take a little damage, but luckily I get health reserves after the fight is done. So... I might have trouble hitting that jump button right now. There we go. So, it's okay. We're good. And done. So, you thought the fight was already pretty fast with the poke, it's even faster in the charge attack, because we can do more, we can take him out in 3 cycles altogether. So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Now, a lot of these other guys, it's gonna be interesting to see what they give me technique-wise. I want him to do a jump. And this works out, actually, pretty well. Yeah. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I've had worse fights with him, honestly, than that. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Like, damage-wise and just other stuff. Alright, we're now going to switch to electricity, because we get to fight Gana Sheriff, the big L. Oh, no, this isn't a Gana Sheriff yet. Sorry. Gana Sheriff is the next fight after this. Whereas here, we have to fight this guy who just doesn't want to play nice sometimes with me. Okay. Whew. Got that one a little closer than I wanted to. Once again, it depends, like, what he does, technique-wise. I have to kind of adjust. If he does the rushing technique, I can finish him off a lot faster. But they don't always want to do what you want them to do sometimes. That's the thing you gotta learn just a little bit about this game. Alright. So Gana Sheriff becomes a little more interesting of a fight, because we can charge attack him, which does a lot more damage. And there's a little more incentive to just kind of take some hits sometimes as a result of that. You can just be like, okay, take a hit, because you can deal a crap ton of damage. Oh my god, come on. Just... There we go. Okay. I wanted him to not do any roly-polies, but, you know, he gave me, like, 3 roly-polies. But, whatever. So be it. We're doing good on time so far. So now we're going to do a little, like, this little interlude area right here, and then we get into the other boss fights. So here, this is a part I find, I don't know why, I have, like, a weird amount of difficulty trying to make this sometimes. That triangle jump just doesn't want to play nice with me. I don't know what it is. It's sometimes just more difficulty than it needs to be. Okay. So now, so we don't fight Aztec Falcon. We don't fight, there's a couple people we don't re-fight, actually. We don't fight Aztec Falcon. We don't fight the Sword Dancer guy from the second to last stage, or the monkey. We only re-fight, like, a small selection of enemies. I'm doing this fight really sloppy. That's fine, we'll recover. And we're good. Whew. I have a weird issue sometimes where, so there's a little bit of a weird technique issue sometimes where, depending on if you're holding down the charged shield boomerang, you'll do a charge attack. And you don't always want to do a charge attack. You want to, you basically want to be able to pull it in at the last second so that you don't end up doing one. And I sometimes have difficulty with that. Okay, I'm going to focus face just a little bit here. Ooh! God dang it. Alright, that's going to eat my time just a little bit, unfortunately. So be it. Considering that's the only death I've had so far, I'll take it. I'll take it, it's fine. I just don't like this guy. He can be just annoying. Depending on, like, routine for what he does. Oop. I got too cocky there. I'm gonna focus. Nope. Nope. You know what? Not risking it. Not risking it. I'm gonna take myself a little bit extra damage. Oh my god, seriously. Wow, okay, that was a very frustrating fight, man. I sucked that fight up so hard. Alright. So then, I need to be a little more careful with the Copy X fight then. Because I only have one full health up, which is fine. I can usually do it with less than that. I'm gonna force him out of there, because I can do a little more damage technically by getting him to do, by forcing him to do certain attacks. I can do a little more damage. I'm getting kind of sloppy in this very end part. Okay, whew. Alright, now I'm going to try to avoid getting killed by this, even though it technically I think is a little faster if you die. Burn and continue, but I've already burned continue. I want to not do that again if I can avoid it. Alright, so we have one more fight against Leviathan now coming up. I don't think I'm going to get I don't think I'm going to beat my personal best, which is like 48-29, but I think I'll do pretty good. I think I'll get a pretty good time at this rate. Alright, so what we're doing here is we can't normally, like I said, she's not going to play nice all the time, so we're instead going to use charge attacks to force her to do certain things we want her to do. That's basically the position we're going to be in right now. Which works out pretty well timeline-wise, at least for what I want. And gets her down pretty fast like that. Okay. Now on to Copy X. the final rush. Actually, it's a two-parter fight. I honestly feel like I have more difficulty sometimes consistently doing well with the first part of the fight than anything else. But ideally, I want to go in with full health as much as we possibly can. So I'm going to try to kill, if I get low on health, I'm going to kill every guy along the way. I can actually kill people, please, thank you. Alright. Alright, so I don't have full health going into this fight, and I've used some of my Cyber Elves. This is a great recipe for disaster, I'll tell you that much. Let's see how it plays out. Alright, so copy X. Ideally, I want to make it so that he puts himself in the left side corner after doing a little rush attack, and then I can hit him with a bunch of hits back and forth. Not kill him, but I can hit him with a bunch. And I want to do that like 2 or 3 times is the ideal. Though he doesn't always like to play nice with that. And this is what I want. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay. I'm gonna focus face a little bit on this one, unfortunately. Ah! God dang it. Alright, it's fine. I'll go full health into this. I don't want to screw up that. I'd rather not do that and waste an actual Cyber Elf just in case. So that was not an ideal fight. Yeah. I'm going to be overtime on this one as far as my personal best. I'm still going to be undertime for the run at this point. But you learn and adapt. Not every run always works out the way you want it to, but you try to learn the techniques you can, the things that happen, and you try to learn to adapt between them. But you do the best you can overall. Okay, so let's see if he wants to put himself into a better position for me in this fight. I want to get him in that corner so I can just basically rapidly happy slap him a bunch of times. So let's see if I can force him to do that. Alright. Really? Come on. That's what I want. Alright, so now... There we go. Whew. Okay, that's what I want technique-wise. So, I'm overtime already for copy X, but I can still be under time for the run, at least as is, because I've saved some good amount of time. So copy X, at least the base form copy X is done. Now we get to fight Angel Seraph copy X, or Angel Seraph X, I'm not sure what the technical term for it is. Technical name, if you will. So for him, we are going to be, we need to refill our health first, to give ourselves a little more of a fighting chance. And he actually has a weakness, which makes him a lot more ideal to deal with. So he's weak to ice. So we're going to use a charge ice attack to do a bunch of damage to him, basically. And as a funny thing, he does he does more damage to you through his techniques than when you make contact with him. And there's run and time. Boof. Okay, so let me explain what I was actually trying to say there. So there's a cool technique that you can do with that. So when he does his technique, so he has 3 techniques. He has the rings, which don't do any damage. He has those little yellow things that shoots out, and then he has the fire beam that he does. All those, except for the first one, the other 2 do like 5 or 6 pellets of damage. They do a stupid amount. I'm going to quickly tap through this because I have to get the full time at the very end of the run, at least, to show 100% legit. And those do like 5 or 6 pellets of damage as a whole. However, for some weird reason, if you make contact with him, physical, like run up against him, he only does a single pellet of damage. So a cool technique you can do is, if he's going to do a big attack, hop up there and slap him with a charge hit, run into him, take only 1 pellet of damage, and then you'll have invincibility frames to not get hit by the other stuff. So that works out pretty well as a technique. And you can just then use that to just damage rush him through, hit him a bunch of times, and finish the fight right there. So it worked out pretty well, I think, overall. So let's do a quick self-analysis review of this run as well. Because there were some parts where we didn't live up to our expectations, but everything was under time, except for so Hananushin is the monkey, and I just got bad RNG on that one where he did not do what I wanted to do, and he would have ideally been great if he had, where I wanted to run at me, I want to jump over, I want to do the slow slashes to knock him to a corner. So that one I didn't do great on. so the whole Copy X final stage, for God's sake, I screwed that stuff up hard. I was just flubbing it out hard. Between dying to, frickin'... What did I die to? I died to Fenfer once. No, once or twice. I died to Fenfer once or twice, which was stupid. Like, he's probably the more trickier bosses to get his pattern down, but, like, I should have just been patient and waited, but I got too anxious. Who else? I died to... Ninja? I died to Phantom, I think. I died to Phantom. So I died a couple times, and then Copy X, obviously, because I didn't have full health, and he just was not playing the way I wanted to play. So there's room for improvement there. Looking at this right now, so I think my personal best is 48.29. I have to go take a look and see. But I could have shaved off maybe 20 seconds. So when I say shave off, I'm talking in the context of looking at how much time I spent on there and how much I could have reduced it by. So I could have probably shaved off 20 seconds off of Hananushin, which would have dropped that to like 150, and I could have easily shaved off an extra minute and then 10 seconds off Copy X. So that'd be a minute and 30 seconds altogether at least, which would have put me below my personal best. So that was a pretty good run. If I just didn't screw up those two areas, I probably would have had a personal best right there. But you give and take. Not every run you do is a personal best, but you learn the things that you did from those runs and adapt them going forward. So, you take the best of what you can in both worlds. Unfortunately, the way this game works, credit-wise, you can't skip the credits at all. They just have to play out very, very slowly and surely. But that said, while these credits are playing out, let's talk about some other stuff. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, the Mega Man Zero ZX Collection is coming out on February 25th. So at the time of this recording, that's like 11 days from now. So it's coming out very soon. I believe it's $30. It's not more than $40. It's either 20 or 30, maybe 40 at the most. But if you were interested in playing these games, it's a super awesome collection. They're definitely much more hardcore-based Mega Man games. They really push you to the limit, as they were made for more advanced Mega Man players. So there's that. Gotta Go Fast related news. So there's some exciting new stuff we got planned for Gotta Go Fast coming up very soon. You can keep an eye out in the next episode coming up. We'll have some new things to share with you about what that is, and that's coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Gotta Go Fast as well. So we have some new stuff planned for that, some new possible show spin-offs, and a new intro that we'll be showing off as well too for that. So that'll be some cool stuff that we'll be able to see in the next episode here. And yeah, I haven't decided yet what the next game is going to be. That is still up for debate a little bit. But I can tell you what the game after the next game is going to be. So, alright, so 31:44 was my time, my in-game time, compared to 49:48. So, I believe my in-game time for my personal best was 30:55, so I gained about a minute, which maps up to what we have for the in-game time. So, a minute over. So be it is what it is. So I haven't 100% decided yet what March's episode is going to be. However, I can't think. April's game has been decided. That's going to be Resident Evil 3. So we're going to speedrun that. And that is in preparatory for Resident Evil 3 coming out. The Resident Evil 3 remake coming out. So we're going to speedrun the original Resident Evil 3. And then we'll probably have some gameplay coverage of Resident Evil 3 remake as well coming out after that. So you can look forward to that in April. And then March, I'll reveal that coming up soon. What game we're going to do for that. But we might do a specialty episode for that. Who knows? We'll see. With that, thank you for watching this episode of Gotta Go Fast. Make sure to follow us on Mixer, Twitch, YouTube, if you're interested in staying ahead of our content. We also have a Patreon available if you'd like to support us additionally through there. We have some cool reward tiers in there related to input in shows and participation, as well as being able to support more shows that we can produce. And as well as Gotta Go Fast, you can follow all our information up on speedrun.com/SaveYourXTamrant and see all the games we've run so far on this series. With that, everyone have yourself a good evening, take care of yourself, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode of Gotta Go Fast. Let us know what you thought about it. Got a game you'd like to see us try? Tweet at RetroFizzTV and use the hashtag GottaGoFast. Be sure to follow us on Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube to stay up to date on all the latest RetroFizz and Gotta Go Fast content. Also, be sure to check out speedrun.com/SaviorXTanrin to see all the speedruns we've done.